Hey everyone, I'm Jakejames Lugo and welcome to my channel. So Final Fantasy is probably one of the most legendary JRPG franchises of all time, for a number of different reasons. And because of that, it could probably get a little confusing for some people of where to actually get into the series. Do you go play the games that everybody loves and critically praises, or do you go to some random entry of the series and see where it takes you? Well, that's what this list is going to help you with. We're going to talk about the top 5 best Final Fantasy games to give to beginners to get them into the series. Now, we're not talking about the best of the best. That's an entirely different list for another time. We're talking about the best games that you could give to someone who's probably never played a Final Fantasy game, let alone any other JRPG. So let's just dive right into this and kick things off with number 5. Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15 is almost a given for this kind of top 5 list. The game makes it super clear at the beginning once you boot it up, a Final Fantasy for first timers. Final Fantasy 15 plays like an action RPG more than a traditional Final Fantasy game, which almost always ends up being turn-based in nature. For many people who never played any of the previous titles, and more than likely played one of Square Enix's other popular franchises like Kingdom Hearts, this is a great place to start. The story is mostly focused on the relationship between Noctis and his entourage of friends, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto. While we do have that typical save the world from this event thing going on, the heart of the entire experience really comes from how these 4 guys interact with each other the entire time. It's about being out in the world with your boys, your best friends, your closest allies on the road trip of life. Only it just so happens to take place in a modern fantasy setting filled with magic and monsters and all the stuff we love about Final Fantasy. And chocobos. We can never forget about the chocobos. Whether this is the best place to start your journey into the Final Fantasy series is entirely subjective, but you can honestly not go wrong starting here and seeing what adventures you'll find yourself in. Final Fantasy X. Okay, now I know a lot of people dislike this game for a number of reasons, but hear me out. While I am a fan of this game, I agree with most of the criticisms it's been given over the years. However, Final Fantasy X takes the basic elements of turn-based combat and tries to put a light spin on it, changing party members mid-battle, overdrives, and summons, and a few other things here and there. But it's still turn-based combat that we're familiar with throughout the entire franchise. The story and the other parts of the gameplay in Final Fantasy X are exactly what some might expect in a Final Fantasy game from that era, during the PlayStation 2 days and coming off for the release from other PlayStation classics. The story may not be for everyone, but I do feel that the charm of Final Fantasy X for me comes from its soundtrack. The music here is absolutely fantastic, and honestly among some of the best of the series. I've always praised the Final Fantasy games for their music, especially in the more critically acclaimed and beloved entries. To those looking to get into the series, I would recommend Final Fantasy X on its music alone, just because it's so good. I also feel that in the HD remastered version of Final Fantasy X, the visuals still hold up pretty well. Not the best Final Fantasy game around, but definitely one that could get people introduced into some of the cooler aspects of the series. Check it out and you'll see exactly what I mean. World of Final Fantasy. Okay, so I might be cheating a little bit here by including this, but I feel like World of Final Fantasy really is a great intro into the series for just about anyone. It's a small celebration of everything we love about Final Fantasy in some way, even if it's not as grand or as deep as the other entries. World of Final Fantasy follows a similar premise to other spin-off titles like Dissidia of Final Fantasy, where many of the heroes and villains from throughout the series come together for one game. There is a story about multiple lands connected and other complicated stuff, but that's not really what makes this game stand out to me. Turn-based battles, great music, colorful visuals, and many other characteristics harken back to the older games. Like I said, I know I'm cheating a bit here, but I think people would enjoy playing this if they never played an FF game before. If you haven't done so yet, I highly suggest that you check out the Maxima version of the game on either PlayStation 4 or Nintendo Switch. It's the complete edition of the game and includes just about everything you need to take your first dive into the world of Final Fantasy. There might not be any Sora DLC included here, but still, it's a pretty cool game that I feel like beginners to the series would really enjoy. Now, I want to reiterate here, this isn't a top 5 best of the best for the Final Fantasy franchise. These are games that I feel like are great recommendations or great places to start at if you've never played an FF game before. I feel like that when people recommend different franchises or series to people, especially newer players, they'll give them the best of those franchises, but they might not be able to appreciate some of the nuance or some of the other little things of what makes those games so special. So with the games that I mentioned before and the games we're going to get into now, I feel like these games at least have some of the defining aspects of the Final Fantasy franchise and different characteristics about them that will ease players into the genre and ease players into the series and allow them to enjoy it enough to be able to go out and check out some of these other games. Again, a lot of this is based on my thoughts and opinions, and I'm pretty sure some of you out there feel a little bit different. Let me know about that in the comment section down below. Regardless though, let's get right back into the list and continue with the top 2 picks that I feel are the best Final Fantasy games to give to beginners. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. So this is the Final Fantasy game that's the most streamlined of the entire franchise. No lie, it's pretty much baby's first JRPG. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest has gotten a bad rap over the years because of how watered down and easy it was made for Western audiences outside of Japan. It's already been talked about constantly why this isn't a great game for that very reason, especially when compared to the rest of the series. But for the purposes of what this list is about, however, Mystic Quest is a totally fine game to start out with for a newbie. The turn-based battles in here are as simple as you can get. Fights are almost always in your favor and really aren't that complicated. The story is also very linear, with little to no room to explore or go off the beaten path. It's pretty much to the point of hand-holding you through the entire game. But if you put aside your own views about what great Final Fantasy games are, this could be a perfect training wheels game for a newcomer to the series. It has just enough elements from the other games without much of the challenge that might be too much for brand new players. The game also happens to be somewhat short, meaning you could probably knock it out within a day or so. Again, we're not looking at the best games here, but games that can ease beginners into what the series is all about. If we were strictly talking about quality here, then you wouldn't see it on this list. But since we're talking about what's the best thing for beginners to the Final Fantasy series, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest can work rather well. This is one I know many people have not played before, so if you're curious about it and can look beyond the super easy nature of it, give it a whirl and let me know what you think. Post up your opinions down below in the comments section. Final Fantasy IV. Now this is where I feel like most people would agree with me on this list. Most of the time, Final Fantasy fans will tell new players to go play the classic titles that have gotten a lot of praise over the years. For some people, that would be Final Fantasy VII, others might be Final Fantasy IX, heck, I'm pretty sure many people would also say Final Fantasy VI on Super Nintendo. These are all fantastic games for different reasons, but if I had to choose one game along those same lines for new players, it'd definitely be Final Fantasy IV. This is the game I feel that embodies a lot of the best aspects of the classic Final Fantasy games. An epic story with characters that you can latch onto, a battle system that blends the classic with something new, colorful visuals, and great music that accents what you see on screen, and so much more. Any of the games I've mentioned on this list before are great games to start getting into the franchise with, but Final Fantasy IV is the one that I gravitate to the most. There's been multiple versions of this game released over the years, including on the PlayStation, GBA, Nintendo DS, and even iOS devices. However, I'd say go play Final Fantasy IV The Complete Collection on the PSP. It has fantastic revamped sprites in the game, a new arrangement for the music, brand new CG cutscenes for some of the big story moments, and a whole bunch more. The best part of this collection, however, is the inclusion of Final Fantasy IV Interlude and Final Fantasy IV The After Years. These are games that continue the story of the events of Final Fantasy IV. I feel like that once you play and finish up the original game, you'll definitely want to see what else happens in the Kingdom of Baron after the credits rolled. As you could probably already tell, I really dig this game, for so many more reasons beyond what I've already said. And I truly believe that if you're a beginner to the Final Fantasy series that wants a great game to start out with, I'd say this is the one that you definitely need to dive into when you can. Anyway guys, that's the top 5 countdown. I hope you enjoyed it regardless of whatever your opinions are. Again, I'm pretty sure some of you would have included certain games or gotten rid of some other games on this list. Again, everybody's a little different whenever they're discussing some of their favorite franchises, especially one as big as Final Fantasy. But all this stuff is based on my opinions. Let me know what you guys think about all this down below in the comments section. Tell me, what are the games that you would include on this list? What are the games you would take out? What are some of the games that you feel like are utter trash that you would never give to a beginner? Or what are some of the franchises and other games that you love that you guys want me to talk about or do a top 5 on? Put all that stuff down below in the comments section. Thanks for watching this video, everyone. Go ahead and click the boxes on the side to see more videos and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to go visit my Patreon page for exclusive gaming content that I know you'll really love. Hope you have a chill day. Peace out and stay epic, everybody.